a wonderful smoky aroma. Wonderful. Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Lüning, Horst Lüning, and I'm the master taster of Whisky.com. And today we have a weird bottle here on my cask. It's called Isla Time. Heavily peated batch number 2. Isla Time. Do you know what Isla Time means? Here you see a watch on the label and Isla thick on the top. Isla Time means if you come to the remote island of Isla, off the west coast of Scotland, part of the Inner Hebridean Islands, time starts to flow slowly. You leave your burden behind and feel comfortable in a slow pace. That means Isla Time. So this whiskey might be to slow you down. What's here on this label? Finest peated premium blended Scotch whiskey. Carefully composed by Donald Hart. Product of Scotland. 40% ABV. And a screw cap. Scotch whiskey saying on top. I don't like those screw caps because they become, they get loose and become loosened. And then the whiskey evaporates along the seal. So from time to time you have to tighten the screw top of the bottle to hinder evaporation. But this one is a cheap one, 22 euros, so that you won't see this bottle long on your shelf in your bar. The title Isla Time means or suggests this whiskey is from Isla. It says blended Scotch whiskey, so the whiskey inside this bottle can come from everywhere. There are distilleries in the Highlands which produce heavily peated malt whiskey, so the ingredients of this bottle might come from the Highlands. The whiskey from Isla, which is quite remote and it's costly to move the spirit or the barley to Isla and the spirit from Isla back to the mainland. There's hefty costs on the whiskey. And, single malt whiskies from Isla are very expensive, so most of the distilleries have stopped giving cask away. So if you see a bottle with no name, whiskey bottle stating single malt Isla whiskey, then everybody thinks about, this might be Lagavulin or Ardbeg or Lafroig or whatever. Those distilleries do no longer give casks away. They have their own malts, which are always under pressure for volume. And they have their own blends in the huge corporations, those mega corporations, global mega corporations. They need every drop of their whiskey. Only the Bunnahabhain distillery, with their heavily peated malts, sold whiskies until 2008, I think. If they're still doing that, I don't know. The others stopped shipping casks to third parties years and years ago. So this one might either come from the mainland or from Bunnahabhain. That's it. I'm happy to get this bottle from the distributor. So I haven't paid for that. Keep in mind what I'm saying now. A wonderful smoky aroma. Wonderful. It's somewhere in between a medicinal smoke and a bonfire smoke, some peat fire burning in a chimney. It's a wonderful smoky note, but nothing else. It's just smoke. It's heavily peated. Perhaps a little of faint vanilla. And if you look at the color of the whiskey, this one is so light that I think it's uncolored. Because if somebody would have a small thought about coloring this whiskey, they would have added definitely some spirit caramel. But this one is so light, so I think nobody cared about coloring and said, well, this whiskey lives from the taste. Yeah, a wonderful smoky aroma, covering all the way from the hospital phenol stinkiness up to the cold smoke of a bonfire, but very few behind. Very sweet and mouth-watering. Wonderful. And there's not this bitterness I typically find in grain whiskies, which I today think that it comes from the old oakiness of the reused casks for the grain whiskies. This one, no bitterness, but in the back a little bit of youngness. There's a metallic note. I feel it as a metallic note which covers the back of your mouth. And this is, for me, an indicator for a youngness of a whiskey. But it harmonizes well with the smoky note and it does not disturb the overall performance of this whiskey. So this is value for money is very high in this bottle. It's definitely a good one. Oh. Look out for this whiskey on the shelves. It's not that expensive, just 22 euros in Europe. And stay tuned, there's more to come, and feel free to add your comments about this whiskey in our whiskey database. Thank you.